How is everyone doing today on this Monday, Labor Day? It is Monday, September 4th. The year is 2023. The time is 1:46 p.m. And I wanted to make a podcast on the topic of the best person to take care of the old you is the young you. So let that sink in. I'm going to say it one more time. The best person to take care of the old you is the young you. So, before we dive into this short podcast, because I don't want it to be too long, I really don't want to have to edit too much of a podcast right now because I am a little tight on time. So I'm trying to juggle my responsibilities at the moment. But let me introduce myself to you all. My name is Unique, and you are listening to my podcast called Get Inspired with Unique. I started this podcast on August 2nd of 2023, so slightly over a month ago, a month and 2 days ago, I started this podcast. And I wanted this podcast to pretty much serve as a conversational concept you could be having with a friend, a family member, a lover, a partner, a coworker, just whatever. But I wanted this podcast to pretty much be something that inspires you to do something different with your life or to encourage you to think about circumstances in your life in a different way. And sometimes just to make you laugh. I haven't made any silly podcasts just yet. I do have ideas, but I'm a little on the fence about how I want to introduce those podcasts to my channel. But that is and was the objective for starting this podcast. And I am super excited that I have been doing this so far. So, introductions aside, let's go back to what I said this podcast is going to be about. The best person to take care of the old you is the young you. Now, this is a podcast concept I wrote down on Thursday, August 24th, and I was listening to a YouTube video called Why Looking Poor is Important. And it was by a content creator who went by the alias Smart Money Bro. And when he made that one specific statement in his video, it just really made me think about my current situation in life a little different. And what I mean by that is making decisions to work hard now so you can enjoy yourself and play later. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you have heard that phrase before. Work hard now, play later, or something like that, something to that effect. When I hear that statement, I understand what it means, but I also want to say it can be challenging because you also will hear people say it's important to live in the moment because tomorrow is not promised. And we also need to value the people who are in our lives because sometimes people will get out here and they will work themselves so hard to the point of prioritizing work above a relationship. And a relationship does not have to just be romantic. There are many types of relationships in life. Friendships, family connections, the connections you have with your coworkers, even people who are considered an acquaintance, someone you're not super close with, but you at least know who they are. And then, of course, yes, there's the romantic relationships. But again, when people work really hard, they sometimes feel like they have to prioritize work over making time for the important people in their life. And when you do stuff like that, your connections can fizzle out and die. So, what do you do when you're faced with that challenge? Well, you have to communicate effectively to the people who are important in your life. And I want to make a separate video talking about effective communication and my personal life experience with learning how to be an effective communicator. But again, when you're faced with that challenge of balancing working hard with balancing the relationships in your life, one of the solutions to that challenge would be to work on the way you communicate with people. And then you would have to strive to have a work life, personal life balance. You do not want your quality of life to suffer just because you have to go out and work and make your money. Now, again, nobody said it's going to be easy, because if it was easy, everybody would be out here doing it. That still doesn't mean you shouldn't try. Now, getting back to the original point that I started out with, or the original concept of this podcast, the best person to take care of the old you is the young you. When I heard that line in this man's YouTube video, and again, the YouTube video was called Why Looking Poor is Important, and it was by a content creator by the name of Smart Money Bro. I felt like that line was super important because at 30 years old, in September of 2023, I have been hit with some of the hardest challenges of my life. Not the only hardest challenges of my life, but this is one of them. And I'm at a point in my life where I don't want to lose the people who are close to me. I don't want to lose the connections with people I've made. I really see the value in keeping the people who care about you close, because good people are hard to come by. I'm not going to say that good people are scarce, but good people are very hard to come by. And if you don't treat people like you care about them, as if you are watering a plant, those people are going to fade away, like a plant would wither away if you stopped watering it. So I'm trying to make sure I'm doing my best to work hard right now while I'm still young in my 30s. I'm 30 years old, so I just exited my 20s and I just started my third decade of living on this planet Earth as a 30-year-old man. Let me say that again, a 30-year young man. I got to say that for the people in the back that want to be clowning me because, oh, you 30 years old, you old. Nope, nope. I still got a lot of energy in me. I still look good. Just saying. I'm just saying. But all jokes aside, yes, I want to make sure that I'm working hard, but being smart about it. And one of the ways that I feel like I'm doing that is just being wise about how I make my money. What do I mean by that? What I mean is, in this day and age, in 2023, the internet has evolved. Cell phones have evolved. Technology has evolved. And with all of this evolution, there are a plethora or an abundance of ways to make money. More specifically, there are a lot of opportunities to be an independent contractor where you make your own schedule and you work for yourself. Now, that does mean you will have to take on a lot more expenses because as an independent contractor, you are your own business. And part of running a business is bringing in revenue and trying to keep your expenses low so your profits are high. So some examples of independent contract work would be Amazon Flex, where you don't work directly for Amazon, you work for yourself and you pick your own blocks where you want to work. And, Amazon will pay you to use your personal vehicle to deliver packages. There's Uber and Lyft and DoorDash. Those are, I'm sure everybody's familiar with those, but again, you're using your vehicle to deliver a service or do a service for customers who are trying to get help with transportation, or they're trying to order food, or they want to have packages delivered to them. Yes, you can use Uber or Lyft to deliver packages. Well, I know Uber can do it. I don't know about Lyft. But yeah, then there's Instacart, where you are doing someone's personal grocery shopping for them. And I used to feel like these types of services were only for people who had extra money to spend, especially when I was coming out of college, because I would see how much money people spent on these types of services. But over the years, I have learned not everyone is fortunate to have a car. Sometimes people don't have a license, either because they've lost the license or they've never had it or they are scared to get a license. People might be of old age and they are not able to use certain parts of their body to drive like they could when they were in their youth. I've had people that I've met who have been in a terrible accident and they have suffered some form of PTSD every time they get inside of a vehicle, and they just cannot make themselves drive. It traumatizes them. And then there are people who just cannot afford having a car. Car payments as of 2023, when I last researched this, an average used car is going to cost anywhere from $500 up to $530 a month. And that obviously depends on how expensive the used car is you choose to get. And then a new car, a brand spanking new car, ranges anywhere from the $700 a month minimum up to $1,000 a month maximum. That is crazy. These car payments are so ridiculously high right now. And then you still have to put car insurance on top of that and car maintenance. And it's just too much. So not everybody can afford to have a car. So these independent contract services that I mentioned will come in handy. So I said all that to say that my perspective on those types of services has definitely changed. And I definitely see how participating in these independent contract services contributes some form of value to society for people who need those services. So when I say that I have been choosing to work smarter when it comes to working hard right now in my youth, so that my older version of myself, 30, 40, 50 years down the line, can benefit from everything I'm doing today, I am choosing to put my time into opportunities that will pay me better. And I want to say this kind of goes into knowing your worth. Finding opportunities out here in the world that are going to pay you better. Everybody's financial situation is going to be different. Everyone's monthly expenses are going to be different. One person might have $3,000 a month in monthly expenses. Someone else might have 4,000. Someone else might have 5,000. Someone else might have 6,000. You don't know what a person's financial situation looks like. So they're going to need different daily goal targets for making their money. And when it comes to working for an employer or a company or a 9 to 5, if they're going to monopolize or hog all of your time, giving 40 hours or more a week of your time to that company, you deserve to be paid well for that time, because those 40 plus hours a week can't go into anything else in your life but that company. You cannot put that time into building relationships or working on your hobby or working on your dreams or your goals or anything like that. All of that time is going toward the company that you are working for. They're monopolizing your time. So if they're going to hog your time like that, they have to pay you your worth. I'm not saying the companies need to go bankrupt trying to pay people um, crazy amounts of money, because at the end of the day, I do understand that a business has to be profitable in order for it to be successful. But these companies do not have to be screwing people over, underpaying people. That is not acceptable. And that will send people down a rabbit hole of trying to chase away their debt, trying to hunt for opportunities that are going to pay them their worth just so they can pay their debt and their bills down. So, what I have been trying to do is seek out the opportunities that are paying me a minimum of whatever dollar amount I'm trying to aim for. One person might want $20 an hour. Another person might want $25 an hour. Someone else might want $30. Someone else might want $90 an hour. Whatever you feel your worth is, whether you went to school for it, got a degree, got a master's degree, got a doctorate, got a law degree, or whether you've been getting all these certifications just to put by your name to show that you have the education for something, or whether you've been going out and getting the actual experience. A lot of these companies want real world experience. Sometimes I feel like, just from what I've witnessed, having a degree does not always guarantee a foot in the door doing anything with some of these companies. Sometimes they just want straight up experience. So, whatever you feel like you've done to enhance your education, enhance your knowledge, enhance your real world experiences, you know what your worth is going to be. And if you don't know what your worth is, Google search what you should be getting paid for the things that you do. Look up what companies are paying people in your area for the similar credentials and experience you possess, and you assign a value to what you believe your worth is. So, going back to what I was going to say before, I have been making the decision to seek out the opportunities that are going to pay me the minimum dollar amount I'm looking for. And I've made the decision to put more of my time and my effort into doing those opportunities. And then if I choose to work for a company on the side, or if it's going to be full time, there is no exception to what I will accept. Because if you're going to monopolize my time like that, I have to be getting paid my worth. Because I look at it like this: whatever the majority of your time is going into, that needs to be making you the most money. And then if you do something else on the side, like a side hustle or a side business or just whatever it is that you choose to do, that should be extra money for you. It should be able to supplement your income. If anything, I feel like the ideal situation for somebody should be, your full-time opportunity or your full-time job should pay at least maybe 85 to 90% of your bills, if not 100%, depending on how deep you are in debt. And I say 85 to 90% because of the state of the economy right now. So, yeah, whatever you choose to do on the side to make extra money, that should be pocket money or money that you can throw at your debt to pay your debts down faster. And I also believe that we should be diversifying our income. I don't think it's smart to have all your income flowing in from just one source, because something could happen to that one job. They could lay you off, or the company could fold. You never know. You don't know the future. Life happens, y'all. So while I'm doing all of these things, working hard and smarter, I would like to make sure that I am balancing my relationships with the people who I care about. And being able to just make your own schedule gives you that flexibility to, give yourself some time off, give yourself a day off whenever you choose to go in to work, or if you want to go home. When you work at someone's 9 to 5, you're usually in there for the full 8 hours. I'm speaking of a traditional 9 to 5, 9 to 6, whatever time frame. When you're doing 40 hours a week, it's typically an 8-hour day. And you don't get to take as many breaks as you want when you do that. You typically get a 30-minute lunch or a 1-hour lunch, and then you go straight back to work. Then you got to drive home, which may take about an hour if there's traffic. You still got to take time to, do things for you, because that's something I forgot to mention when it comes to work-life, personal life balance. Personal life balance doesn't just mean trying to find that balance with your relationships. You got to have that you time, that me time, the time where you don't want to be bothered with people. You want to make sure that you're giving yourself time to be in harmony with yourself, be aware of your existence, feel the air around you, just be present, do things for you that's fun for you, you know? And you can't have that balance if you're so tied up in work, 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 work all the time, especially if you're not making any memories as the time is passing by. So, again, the concept of this podcast was the best person to take care of the old you is the young you. And my take on that is work harder now while you're young, but be smart about it. Find balance. So that way, when you get older, you can thank your younger self for the decisions you made in today's time. And me saying this in a podcast right now is just supposed to highlight, again, my take on the concept, how I've been applying this concept, and also just to invite other people to give me their thoughts and opinions on everything I said. If there's something you're doing right now that's helping you work smarter and not harder to hit your goals faster and also allow you to have balance, feel free to share it in the comment section down below. If you're listening to this podcast on YouTube, feel free to put it in the comments below. I read all the comments and I respond to all of them. I interact with all of them. If you're listening to this on Spotify, you can send in a voice memo. And if you're listening to this on Apple or Google Podcast, there isn't a way to interact with podcasts on those platforms. All you can do is just, listen. But I strongly recommend listening to the podcast here on YouTube and leave your comments below because it's a lot easier that way. Yeah, I am going to go ahead and bring this podcast to a close because I feel like I've made the point of what I wanted to talk about today. I do want to let you all know I finally made an Instagram page for this podcast. It's the same name as the podcast, Get Inspired with Unique. I haven't made a post on that Instagram page yet, but I will be putting something up there really soon. I made the Instagram page about a week ago. I'll go ahead and link it in the description box down below. I'll also put a link to the Instagram page in the comment section if you all want to follow it there. But I'm trying to make it easier to promote all of my podcasts because, as you all know, if you haven't listened to my intro podcast or even my second podcast, I did briefly explain to you all that I have always been someone who doesn't always like the spotlight and I don't always like putting myself out there. So I'm trying to slowly wean myself off that mentality and just, put myself back out there. But yeah, with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this podcast. I hope you all have a great day. It's Labor Day Monday, September 4th of 2023. And I want you all to make it a good one. Take care of yourselves. Thanks for listening.